A quick note before we dive into this episode. Due to a technical issue during recording, you might notice some audio distortion and clipping throughout this episode. I really appreciate your patience. The content is absolutely gold and packed with such valuable insights, especially from Janet, and I did not want you to miss out on it. Enjoy the episode. I want to acknowledge that today's conversation touches on themes of grief and the sudden loss of a loved one. Janet shares her experience navigating the passing of her longtime team member, someone who is not only a colleague but a friend. It's emotional and deeply personal, but also a profound example of a leadership through crisis. If you're in a sensitive place, please do listen with care. And if you need support, we've linked Beyond Blue in the show notes. This episode is more than systems. It's about resilience, legacy, and what it means to build a business that can hold when something for you or life gets heavy. Let's dive in. You built a business people love, but behind the scenes, it's all on you. Vision to Grow is your space to lead with clarity, hire with purpose, and finally breathe again. I'm Chrissy, your no-fluff leadership expert, here to help you hire better and lead teams with less mess. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Vision to Grow, the podcast that uncovers what it really takes to scale a service-based business and lead with purpose, and a bit less of losing your sanity. I'm Chrissy, I'm the founder of Grow Advantage, and today's guest brings us a masterclass in something we don't talk about enough: how to lead through crisis. Janet Camilleri is the CEO and founder of Front Page SEO, an Australian SEO agency known for helping small businesses get real results. Not just traffic, but clicks, calls, and clients. She's also a teacher turned marketer who's been running her own business for over 12 years. But here's why this conversation really matters. When Janet's right-hand woman was diagnosed with a terminal illness and passed away just weeks later, her business should have fallen apart. She was grieving, extremely overwhelmed, and yet her systems held up. She was able to bring on a new team member quickly, on board with minimal effort, and keep delivering for her clients. Because she built her business on something most people avoid: documented, repeatable processes. Janet, I'm so excited to welcome you to Vision to Grow, and it is such an absolute honor to have you today.
Thanks so much, Chrissy. I'm really excited to be here and to share hopefully some helpful tips for your listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about your story, and when we connected actually in a masterclass, but what I loved about our conversation is anyone who's been in business for 12 years, this is a podcast for more so small business owners, so we can always learn so much from you. SEO, I think a lot of business owners are like, we know that we need to do it, but we can't get enough of consuming that content. I love to learn, so I love to hear from experts. But what we unraveled that I alluded to in the intro is just, 12 years in business, you see things happen and you understand things differently from exposure. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. We said 12 years in business, and it's no small feat. Congratulations.
Thank you.
When you started in SEO, or when you started this business, what did those early days look like versus what it looks like today?
The business I have now is very different to the business that I started with. So I got started because I got made redundant. And at the time, I had a really bad boss. I didn't want to commute to the city. My kids were still at home. And I, with all the wisdom in the world, thought, I've got skills. I can do a business of my own and work from home. Famous last words. Yes. And I had no clue. I was good at what I did, but I had no clue. And the business I started with, I guess I didn't even know what to call myself. I flew to New Zealand in 2013 to go to a friend's wedding. And you know how they say on those cards, you've got to say what your occupation is? And I didn't know what to put. I seriously was like, what do I call myself? So in hindsight, I guess I was a virtual assistant specialising in marketing support. And like many small businesses, when you start off, you're a bit of a jack of all trades. I did a bit of everything. So I was building websites. I was doing Facebook and Instagram. I was running Facebook ads. I was running Google ads. And yes, I did a bit of SEO as well. So that's where I started. Over time, I niched down. I realised what I really loved was this SEO thing, search engine optimization. And my background is I've done a lot of writing. I love writing. And when done well, SEO is writing with a purpose. And I really loved that. And I loved getting results for my customers. So it just kind of grew from there.
And for anyone who isn't a buff on SEO or search engine optimization, do you want to just give us a little bit of an overview, like SEO for dummies, if you will?
Sure thing. So what is this SEO thing? You've probably heard of it. What we are doing, it's about helping businesses come up the top of Google. Why is that important? Because that's when you get the clicks and calls, the clients, the customers, and ultimately a more profitable business. So there's a lot that goes into it. I think a lot of people don't realise exactly what goes into it, but that's part of my personal mission statement, is to help business owners understand this thing and come to grips with it.
And what I love about you, Janet, is you offer different services for different levels of business, different budgets. So we'll definitely be sharing with everyone where they can find you. But That's why I'm really excited to speak to you. You're making SEO for the masses. Are you making it accessible? Accessible, yeah, absolutely. When we initially caught up, you talked about the business and you just sort of said it came from being made redundant. That was what inspired you. You'd been in your career, you got made redundant. What was that shift like? So I know you said a bit of a jack of all trades, but I guess from a mindset shift perspective, what happened to you, why that was going on?
Oh, massive mindset change. I'd always worked in government pretty much. So to take the initiative and go out on my own was massive. And I love this example. So I ended up working with a department in my former organisation, doing some social media for them. And I was only a couple of years into my journey, and at the time I paid to go to a conference that was all about blogging and writing and whatever. And I told my client who worked in the organisation I'd formerly worked in, I told her that I'd gone on it, and she was like, oh, I'm so jealous, wish I could go on that. And I'm like, well, hang on a sec, who do you think paid for me to go? Because when you're in your own business, you're it. You have to be responsible for your own professional development, pay the bills, whereas she was like, oh, I can't go. My manager said I can't. There's no budget for it. And I'm like, well, I had to pay for it myself, but guess what? I'm worth it.
I think that's such a beautiful mindset shift, right? I think you just start investing in yourself more, right? And everything, like the amount of, I've done the mindset courses, the business courses, the marketing courses. We'll go on to talk about this more, but what I find so interesting, at least in my exposure to small business owners, we do all of that investment. We've got to have a really strong mindset. We've got to have marketing skills, absolutely pivotal. And, even like more softer, more holistic stuff. But I hazard a guess most people who are in business who become leaders of their business, their people become their most valuable asset. They've not necessarily put that investment into learning those skills. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, people are absolutely your most valuable asset. I couldn't run my business today without my people. It's grown too big for me. And also I have a little problem called arthritis in my hands. So I have to get off the tools. My hands are like, no, you're not going to sit in front of a computer for 10 hours straight. It's just not going to happen. So I'd really be stuffed without my team now.
I think that's such a valuable point. Like, we don't know what the future's going to throw us, right? Like, if we're doing everything on our own.
Yes.
We have health changes, we get older, we go through menopause as women, staring down the barrel of perimenopause myself. Like, you might have to take a freaking break, right? And I think we talked about that. So what was the biggest shift from your business being just Janet to the business that it is now with a team?
To being a team. Look, my famous last words when I went into business were, I didn't go into business so I could hire someone else. I don't want to be bothered with people management. That's a pain. I'm not interested. I'd never had a role where I'd managed people before. So it was a really big mindset change. And I started working with a business coach in 2019, and she was the one who helped me see that if I wanted to grow and scale this business, I had to get myself out of my way. I wasn't the be-all and end-all. I needed other people to help me. And I'd never been a boss before, so becoming a boss was quite scary. But obviously it's a journey, and my team actually tell me they love me and they think I'm awesome. So I'm like, well, good, I'm doing something right. I love that I'm the sort of boss that I would have loved to have had 13 years ago.
And I love that. I love that you say that, because I have so many clients who are like, I never wanted to be a boss. I never wanted to be a leader. And I'm like, what is that? Where's that come from? Have you had a horrible boss? Like that movie, Horrible Bosses. So what's the hang up about being a leader? Like, people leading is actually one of my favorite things. But it makes sense given my background. So recruitment and HR, I've had teams. It makes sense. And I really, the thought of working on my own does not appeal to me. I think that would be very lonely.
It can be.
It can be super lonely. And yes, we can throw ourselves into networking, working with other people, but they're not in what we're doing. It's kind of nice once you start building a team of people who align to what you do, and you can have like that water cooler chat about the dorky subject matter expertise.
That's one of the joys of having my team now is when I sign on, and we all work remote, so we all work from home, all in Australia. But when I sign on a new client, straight into our chat, hey, guess what, such and such, there's someone to share those wins with, and someone to share the really down days as well. And I really love that because, before I didn't have that. I mean, you can talk to hubby and your cat, but they don't really get it.
No, they don't. They don't get it. But I think as well, sharing that wins and just having someone to bounce ideas off as well.
It's awesome.
And you know what? It's not like what you're saying is not like you park the mentor. Like you've still got the business mentor to have those upwards conversations with, but you want to be in the trenches with people sometimes, right?
You do. And look, one of my hires, he actually knows more about SEO than I do. And that was a little bit scary, hiring someone who knew more than I did, but it's been awesome and I've learned a lot from him.
Yeah. And then all of you, that's like your, if you ever Google, I'm hiring teams and leadership. So any quotes I look at, Steve Jobs is like the bomb DC for leadership quotes. But he would literally say that, like, you want to hire people smarter than you. Like that makes you a great leader.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that.
You just Steve Jobs me completely.
It was very scary at the time, I'm not going to lie, but he was a good hire and we worked really well together and I've learned so much.
Now, we are going to take a bit of a segue, and you were so kind to share this with me, and I want to manage this conversation respectfully because it is sensitive. But when we spoke, you really touched on understanding the importance of your team and your systems because you had something really tragic happen to you in your business. Did you want to talk us through that and what happened?
Yeah, sure. So it was a bit over 2 years ago now. I had a couple of people on my team and things were going really well and I had great plans for growth and, the world was my oyster. And at the end of February, one of my team members, she hadn't been able to work much and she was my right-hand woman. And she came to me, rang me because we didn't live close and said, I've got some really bad news. I've been diagnosed with cancer and it's terminal. And the bottom fell out of my world because, we talked every day, even though we didn't live close, we talked every day. She was invaluable in my business. I liked her as a person. And she thought she had until Christmas and she's like, I have to resign immediately. I need to think about my kids and do this and do that and I want to make videos for them. I don't think she ever did any of that because within 3 weeks she was gone. And it was that quick and that sudden. And I was it sounds really selfish now, but when she told me that she was sick, of course, I was devastated for her. But one of my first thoughts as a business owner was, oh, my God, how am I going to do this now without her? I had to pick myself up and keep going. So, it was horrible.
Horrible. And I'm so sorry that you went through that. And I'm, of course, devastated for her and her family.
Absolutely.
And I just think it's so layered. Let's unpick that a little bit. So, obviously, you're dealing with that news to someone who you care about. And then you're also responsible for clients and you've got contracts and people and you've got other team members and you've got to keep going and keep paying their wages. So I think when we talked, you said, fortunately, you did have processes and systems in place it's a horrible thing that you always say in recruitment and you always say in HR, if someone doesn't come back, if something bad happens, you have to keep going when you're a business with people that you serve. Yes, we're human. We get to take a few days off. But once you've got team and you're a little bit bigger, it generally just doesn't stop unless you go ahead and sell the business, right? So did you want to talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, well, I was gutted. At the time, I was still working with my business coach and got her on the phone to her once I'd kind of stopped crying. And she said, this is probably the last thing you want to hear right now, but you need to start recruiting right now. You need to get on top of this for the sake of your business. Fortunately, between her help and a grant I got for building my team, a HR grant I already had the systems in place. So I already knew what sort of person and what skills I needed to hire. I had the job ad. I knew where to go and where to post it to get the sort of people I was after. I had interview questions. I had my whole process down pat. And so it really was, I was able to roll it out quite quickly. And I think Shahida started with me, in less than a month, like really quickly, just got the ball rolling and there we were. And it was a bit sad too though, because she's wonderful, she's a gem, still works with me now. But at the time when I made the hire, inside I'm going, I just want Lisa.
Yeah.
They have their strengths, they're different, and I'm very grateful now that I have Shahida on board, but it is tragic. I still miss Lisa every now and then. I'll find something she wrote or that she did and I'm like, what a waste, damn.
And I know that you honour Lisa so beautifully on your website, and she's definitely with you as part of your business, so I really wanted to honour that conversation respectfully to Lisa's family, so thank you so much for sharing that with us. On that, I guess off the back of that, we'll try and lift the mood a little, but what would you say to someone who is putting off documenting these processes? So you're hiring, your team processes, what would you say having been through that?
Look, I resisted it too, but record everything. So when you have that person come on board, you're training them, record it. Absolutely. I recorded it with Zoom or Looms if I was just doing what was on my screen, and I recorded everything. And as part of the process of bringing my first team members on board was they would do the training with me, and then I'd get them to write the instructions or the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, so that we had it both written and we had the recording. And look, while things do change over time, of course, it's digital marketing. Every time you blink, there's something new.
Yeah, it's progressive.
That's it. The guts of it was there. And so when I brought Shahida on, she really liked that I had written instructions and the video, which was good because I was a bit of a mess. So it was great to be able to say to her when she came on board, can you just go and watch that?
Yeah.
Go do this. I was always around. She could always reach out to me if she had questions or she wanted support. But the bulk of that training didn't fall on me at a time that I was feeling very fragile.
And it's a repeatable onboarding system. There's so many things in what you just said that I love. So what I also encourage clients to do is you just start documenting the process. Like if it was your very first hire, document it as you go. Like I think people have like a barrier to entry to hiring someone because they think everything should be documented before they start. I disagree. As long as you've got a process and a system, document it as you're training that person. And then you're essentially building up a systems library. And I actually always, my big tip with onboarding is if it's the first time I'm doing it, I'll go through it with them and then I will put it onto them to document everything.
Yes.
So it's not all on me, right? Yeah. Because that's also a way to learn as you go. Yeah. If you're talking to them, if they're recording videos, if they're taking notes, you can build on that and then you've got the start of your SOP library, right?
Yep. And then you can go and see what they wrote and you can pick up the bits that they didn't really understand and you can go back and talk to them about that and help them.
Agreed. And then the other thing is, like you said, you had your interview guides, you had your job descriptions, you had your job advert. And I think especially in an industry like yours, those job descriptions, they almost have to be living, breathing documents because things change, right? Like what you're actually doing in the job would change because the environment changes, the technology changes, the landscape's changing all the time. So it's not probably the right process to have a job description from 5 years ago. When you pick it back up, there's going to be work done. So I use job descriptions with myself, and then what I advise clients to do is job description is like a HR document, right? Like anytime you're having a training conversation, a review conversation, a pay rise description, you're getting that job description out and you're making sure it still reigns true. And then you've got less catching up to do.
That's probably something I need to do because it's been over 2 years now since I put Shahida on and I've hired since then. But when you're in the thick of things, it's not something you think about until you realise you need to hire again and then you go back and dig it out.
Exactly. But, we get comfortable, which is great. But there you go. It's an exercise you can set yourself over the next 6 months. I really do want to leverage your expertise on SEO for the audience. So I know when we talk about SEO, you talk a lot about done-for-you SEO and DIY training. Why did you, rather than just doing the SEO agency, what made you bring in that educational piece?
Well, I did start out as a teacher many years ago, and although I hated being in the classroom back in the day with 30 kids driving me bananas, I do actually like teaching, believe it or not. And I realised there was a real need. Business owners, unfortunately, SEO as an industry is not regulated. And it has a bit of a bad rap, and there are some cowboys out there. And unfortunately, it's not as simple as looking for one wearing a black hat to know that they're the bad guy. It's easy to see the white hat, that I am a good guy. And business owners just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. They don't understand what this SEO thing is, but they usually know, they've heard of it, they know they need it. And so, and many agencies will lock you up in a contract for 6 to 12 months. Mm-hmm. And I think they work on what I call the churn and burn principle, that they sign people up, work with them for a year, don't necessarily do anything. And by the time the client or customer realises, the agency doesn't care. They've moved on to the next victim, client. And, so I'm very passionate about making sure business owners at least understand the basics so they know the questions to ask if they are going to outsource, or they can always do it themselves, because when done well, SEO takes time and it takes effort. And as business owners, a lot of us don't have the time. I forget where I was going with that.
No, you're doing great. So I think it's just the done for you versus the training, and I completely agree with you. And I love that you're like a anti-cow girl. I love that. If anyone's just listening and can't see visuals, Janet's got this amazing, very cool white with black stitching cowboy hat. I know that's a big part of your brand, and I love that you've explained that. So thank you so much. But I think there's a few things on what you said. It's so beautiful that I do think as business owners, we do need like a base level understanding of all the elements of our business. We don't need to do all of it. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen that show Schitt's Creek?
I haven't, no. And I know it's a cult, it's got a cult.
Yeah, it's a cult. I love it. I've watched the whole season, so a couple of things. But it's the dad in the family. He had this big company of his own, like a kind of like a Blockbuster video across America. He got screwed by his business manager, right? And they lost all their money. Mm-hmm. And this happens, right? But other things happen, like you hear these horror stories of CFOs or accountants or all of these things. Mm-hmm. So why I absolutely do not advocate for business owners doing everything, and I'm very anti that. I hate that reel that goes around on Instagram. It's like, I'm the bookkeeper and I'm the marketing exec and I hate that because it's so against what I believe in. Yes. I do, however, think we need a base level education of all of the C-suite essentially in our business. So I love what you said in that go get yourself educated to a certain level so that you can do it yourself should you want to, but you also know what good outsourcing looks like. Exactly. I think that's incredibly powerful.
And the questions that you need to ask and what you need to look for, because traditionally my industry has been covered in smoke and mirrors. It's like the old snake oil salesman riding into town and with his magic potion that will fix everything and anything, and people buy it, throw money at him, and he leaves town. But as soon as he's left town, they suddenly go, oh, I actually bought a bottle of water. What? So, yeah, it's crazy. So I don't want to be a churn and burn agency. I believe in building relationships with our clients, like to see ourselves as part of their team.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, although we can outsource elements of our business, we shouldn't outsource our business.
Yes.
So outsource support, but should something happen, you want to be able to take it back, right? Like exactly what we're talking about. If something happens to a team member, something happens to our supplier or someone's providing us a service, we can't have zero knowledge that we can't function without a service provider. That's not smart business. Exactly. I wouldn't want that for my clients, and I'm sure you wouldn't want that either. Mm-hmm. You talk about the transparency in SEO, which you just talked about beautifully. Can you explain to the audience what the most common red flags owners should watch out for when it comes to like dodgy SEO?
Oh, famous red flags. The first one is anyone that can promise to get you to number one or page one on Google. If they promise it, run a million miles away. Nobody can make that promise. So that's a massive red flag to me. The other red flag is I think we've all received those spammy emails that say things along the lines of, I found your website and it looks really good, but I'm a bit worried because, you're not ranking for really good keywords, so nobody's going to find you. I think we've all had those. Funny thing is, I get them too, and I just laugh because I'm like, well, clearly you haven't looked at my website or you'd know that this is what I do.
Yeah, so, that's interesting.
If they're reaching out to you that way, I would have to say, well, what's wrong with their own SEO? Why isn't it working and bringing them clients? I think there's something in that for all of us.
And do you find SEO, like basic understanding of SEO, do you think it's sometimes, and I'm talking about myself as well, I guess, but do you think there's like a confidence level? Like we have to learn so much as business owners and as all these things that we think we should be doing when it comes to marketing. I absolutely believe in the power of SEO, but it's always one component of the marketing. So
100%.
What do you do to support them with that overwhelm when they're like, oh, it's techie, I don't get it? How would you take them on that journey?
I'm still on the journey. It's just bit by bit, life's a cinch, yard by yard, it's far too hard. Just a little bit at a time. Every day we wake up, we learn something new, and that's the way to do it. And I do reassure members I have a membership course where people go to learn about SEO, and I say to them, look, when you first join, it probably will be overwhelming, but that's okay. And I think as business owners, we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in so many ways, and learning SEO is one of them. Being open to the experience and giving it a red hot crack is important.
I think that's really valuable. I was actually having a conversation with Tom, my podcast guy, just before we spoke. We were talking about something similar with Facebook ads, right? It's like one of those that you keep trialing, you keep learning, you keep understanding it, and then something will drop eventually, right? Mm-hmm. And then it will just work. Mm-hmm. But also with, I understand SEO is potentially a bit different, where it builds over time.
It does, absolutely. It's the snowball effect. So the longer you go on and keep working at it, the bigger it gets exponentially. I'm reminded when I worked with my business coach, she had like a fortnightly workshop with female business owners that I went to, which was really great. And she had, I plagiarised it a little bit. She had basically 12 months worth of content that she would work through with us over a 12-month period. And I was in that membership for more than a year. And so I know firsthand that you can give basically the same content a year later, and as the participant and attendee, you can get so much out of it that you didn't get first time around. First time around, you're like, I have no clue. And then second time, you're like, you might not even remember that you've done it before, but suddenly the bits fall into place. And I work on the same principle in my online program, because I've had people, I've been doing that 4 years now, and I've had people who've been there nearly from the start. And every time, they're just putting a little bit more of the puzzle pieces into place.
I think that's so true, isn't it? And as well, especially if it's not your lane, like I'm very much an integrator brain. I'm not a marketing brain. I really struggle with this stuff. And I have to remind myself, you're comparing yourself to people who've got businesses who've done this stuff for years, who've gone and done degrees in it, who are doing it's continuous learning in your niche. Of course, you're not going to come in with it. So it's continuous learning. I'm a hiring teams and leadership expert because I've been doing it for 16 years, every day. And we have to be kind to ourselves, I think, as business owners. And I love that you do offer solutions for all those levels, which is just so invaluable. There's no barrier to entry, which I think is really, really important. Just kind of winding up a little bit before we play a game. We are going to play a game, Janet. Well, you've come with your party hat, so I feel like you're down. I guess you talk about, leading, and I think leadership and legacy is something I really want to discuss with you, because you've been in business for quite some time. As someone who's led through grief, growth, and change, what does leadership mean to you now? You talked about being a boss, leadership. What does that mean to you?
Leading with confidence is really important. If you had met me even 5 or 6 years ago, I'm not the person I am today. Like many women, hand up, I suffered from imposter syndrome. I still do at times. And I was like, who am I to do this? And my response to most things was to blush and giggle, which is not, it's cute, but it's not leadership style, is it? So funny story, the first task my business coach set me when we got started working together was she wanted me to keep an assertiveness journal. So every day I had to write down one thing I did in my business that was assertive. And at the time I thought, what? That is really weird, but it was powerful. And now I can have those difficult conversations with team members or with clients if I need to. Whereas Janet of 6 years ago probably would have just avoided it altogether. So confidence, if you're going to lead with confidence and make it clear the way that you want people to go. So one of the things I've brought on in my business is it's really important to have clarity with my clients when I bring them on board so they know what to expect and what the process is. So a few years ago, I introduced an alignment or onboarding session for our clients. And it's really great because it sets up front, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And look, occasionally things blow up and they're like, oh, you know, why is this happening? And I go, remember we had that conversation and we said, da, 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 da. And, yeah, it's bringing them on. I guess it's a bit like bringing your team on. If you have a team, if you get that right, that sets the foundations for what's to follow.
I love that. I think that's so everything you just said. But the assertiveness, I think as women, I feel like we're fighting against what we've been raised to be, which is like nice, pleasant little girls. You know, we're in business. There's a lot of masculine energy that we need to embody. I honestly think I'm turning 40 this year. I think just the older I get, I just give less fucks.
I was thinking that.
I'm more firm in my holding my boundaries and what I need.
You have to
coming from a place of I'm kind. You can always be kind with that. We've also, to be kind to other people, you've also got to be kind to yourself, right? That's with everyone. That's with your team, with your clients. And what I love about you kept your assertiveness diary, and then you've come to the conclusion that like you get to assert yourself with your clients when you onboard them in a really beautiful, kind way where they understand expectations, but then you can be like, hey, I'm a human with a family, with my weekends intact. It's so brilliant. I love all of that.
Yep. It's so important. You know, you want to start out the way you continue.
Yeah. And what do you think on the aging piece? Do you think it makes you more assertive and just like you're just more focused? You see more world?
I think if I hadn't have been challenged on this, I would have continued the way I was and wondered why my business wasn't growing. Because it was a very ingrained pattern. So I'm a little bit older than you, shall we say, by just a few years. And it was a very deeply ingrained pattern. I came from a childhood that was less than ideal, dealt with stuff, and, it was good. Yeah, business coaching is it's not therapy, but I'm not going to lie. There were times where there were tears and goodness knows what else.
Well, it makes you more powerful, right? And like, isn't it? I mean, I think everyone's been through their stuff. I've been through a very, 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 I can't even get the words out, but yes, trauma. When you've been through trauma, and I will share this at some point on the podcast, guys, it's coming.
Okay, I'll keep listening for it.
It will come. But it's hard to talk about, but I truly believe like when you've gone through something really big, you've gone through trauma in your childhood, in a relationship, it does break you, but then you rebuild stronger. And honestly, some people don't get the opportunity to ever do that. And you had this amazing business coach that pulled that out of you and helped you move forward. And it probably felt super awkward, but I bet the results afterwards are amazing.
They are. And as she always used to say to me, personal development leads to professional development. And it was so true in my case.
Yeah. And who knew? Like business SEO and a little bit of a therapy session for the two of us. But I think it's important, right? Like it's real because we need to be strong when we're doing strong things in the world.
And you just never know anybody's story. Everybody has a story. The more I go through life, the more I realise that. And they might look like they're perfect and they've got it all together, and the heartbreak and the trauma that can be in people's lives that we have no idea about. So I think there's a meme that does the rounds on Facebook. Be kind to everyone you meet because everybody's fighting some sort of a battle that you have no idea about. And that is so true.
It's so true. I think kindness always. One of my first podcast episodes I ever did was with a lady called the Elegance Advisor, and her like motto all the time is like kindness. If you're always kind, like you lead with kindness, You can, it kind of isn't niceness. It's two different things.
Exactly.
But be kind, be generous, listen, smile, the whole world smiles back, all of that, all of those vibes.
Yep.
What is the big news in Front Page SEO? What is on the horizon? What are you working on currently?
There's not enough hours in the day for what I'm working on currently. So much. I really love training and speaking, and I would love to do more of that. And look, maybe there's a podcast down the track, not going to lie.
Ooh.
I am thinking about that because I'm very passionate about the message that I have and sharing that and helping people not get ripped off with dodgy SEO. And so I want to get it out in all different ways. I've thought about writing a book. And then I'm like, the trouble with SEO is the second it's published, it'll be out of date. So I'm like, how can I reach out and let more people know? And a podcast could be part of it. So, I'm working on, I want to do some in-person workshops. I did start doing those and then COVID came along. And since then, I tend to do everything online now, but I'm thinking it's time. I probably need to start doing some more in-person stuff, workshops and things. Yeah. So stay tuned.
All over an SEO workshop. Bring my laptop. Absolutely.
Yep.
I think so. And be in the room, ask you questions. I think that would be amazing. So very excited to hear about that rollout and maybe a podcast that I'll be subscribing to. I did say we're going to play a game. So we're going to play the CEO Shuffle. I'm going to ask you some random questions about how you lead in your business, and we'll see where it goes. So
I'm ready.
What is a non-negotiable standard that you set for yourself in your routine?
Honesty. In my routine, in my business, honesty and integrity. Be the same person you are when people are around, be the same person when no one's around. And I say to my team, if they stuff up, it's okay. We can fix it. Just come and tell me. Don't try and hide it or push it under the carpet. Come and tell me. Speaking of stuff ups, guess who forgot to do the pays last week? One of my team members texted me and said, Janet, you're normally really good about paying us, but I noticed it hasn't gone in this week. I'm like, oh, that's weird. So I went back and looked. I don't know what happened, but anyway, I forgot to hit the magic button on my bank account that said transfer the money. So look, we all make mistakes. It's okay.
Yeah, but you've also fostered a culture where your team feel completely comfortable to come to you about that stuff, which is awesome. Yep. I'm always say to my VA, I'm like, it's one of your jobs to chase me to make sure that I'm not mispaying you.
Yeah.
As my right-hand woman, please tell me, because if something's gone wrong with you, it's gone wrong, so just let me know. So I love that. It's that accountability culture. What is the one technology you would never go out without in business?
Well, the internet. If that wasn't around, I wouldn't have a business.
Fair.
So amazing that when I left high school, I never dreamed I'd be doing this because digital marketing didn't exist, SEO didn't exist. Yeah, and here we are. But if I was to think about tools running my business, and especially now I've got a team, I love Toggle to record the hours that people take to do things, including myself, because it is always a surprise. It helps me keep an eye on how my team members are going and coping with stuff. And when it comes to pricing, I know exactly what's involved in things. So I'm going to say Toggle and keeping a close track on what you're doing and the hours you're spending on it is invaluable, especially when you've got a team. You need to know those numbers.
Yeah, I think that's great. Business book you're reading at the moment? Your last business book?
Yeah, no, I'm a huge reader. So let's see. I'm trying to think of the name of it. I'm a member of BNI, Business Networking International, and they had their national conference a couple of weeks ago. And they released a book, I think it's 20 Secrets to Help You Make the Most of Your BNI or Business Journey. So almost finished that. So, yeah, I'm always good. Yep.
And how was the event? Was it good?
I didn't go.
Yeah, I did see the ad event. I think I was like, oh, events in Sydney, and then I think it came and went.
It was
on the day I found it. Oh, there was one in Brizzy.
The national conference and the international conference will be in Sydney later this year. So thinking maybe I'll go to that one, but at the moment it just didn't work for me, the timing of it. I went last year when it was in Cairns and that was wonderful. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe Sydney in November.
Yeah, no, good tip. Thank you so much. And coffee order. What's your go-to coffee order or tea or what's your poison?
If I'm out and about, and my daughter was a barista, and she tells me it's not that weird, but I feel really weird when I ask for it. I'm very specific. I like a half-strength skinny vanilla latte in a mug. And I'm like, I feel so bad. And like if people say, I'll get you a drink for you, what do you want? It feels really lame. But she's like, Mum, I worked as a barista and that's nothing. People are like quarter strength and it's got to be 65 degrees. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not so bad then.
I love that. Well, I'm from the UK, so I go back and I'm like, oh, the coffee's so bad. I'm going back in a few weeks. It's awful. We're a nation of tea drinkers. It's bloody awful.
I love my tea too at home. At home, I'm a tea drinker. Just if I'm out, I've joined the coffee culture.
Got it. It's the best over here. Thank you so much for everything you've shared, and it's been really insightful. I love everything you shared on SEO. We always want to be learning more, but your insights on business and team have been so invaluable, and thank you for sharing. I appreciate it so much. I think your story is just such a powerful reminder that building systems isn't a nice to have. It is essential, because if you're relying on memory or magic, it's training your team that everything has to be dependent on you. And as you said, when you were going through a hard time, you needed everything not to be on you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So thank you for sharing that. You didn't just survive, you led through really hard seasons and your business didn't collapse because you took that initiative. I think it's so, so powerful. For anyone who's listening, who's been toying with SEO, how can we find you, learn more, join your course? Tell us everything.
Well, my website, just Google me.
Yes.
You'll find me, Janet Camilleri, which is hard to spell. So my website is frontpageseo.com.au, and you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. If you jump on the website, we do offer a free SEO checkup. If you've got an agency and you're a bit worried that they're maybe not doing the right thing, you'll find heaps of info, not only on the DIY SEO HQ, which is my online training program. We also have free webinars every 6 to 8 weeks. So it's always great to jump on the website, find out what's going on and see if there's something that can help you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for everything you've shared today, Janet. I will, of course, add all of your links to the show notes. But thanks so much to everyone who listened. Janet, we loved having you. And until the next time.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Chrissy.
Thank you.
Audience exclusive.